Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning to everyone around the world. Thank you for tuning in. It's February 8th, and this is Deep Funding Spotlight Day. It's a special day. And by the way, how do you like our new name? This event used to be called Idea Fest, but you, the community, voted last week to have it renamed into Deep Funding Spotlight Day. And we are very happy with your decision. So thank you. So Spotlight Day, what is it all about? Well, our deep funding test round is live, and we have 15 proposals on our new proposal platform that you can currently review and rate and comment on. And 10 out of these 15 amazing proposers are here with us today. And this is what Spotlight Day is. As the name suggests, it's about putting the spotlight on them, on our proposers, celebrating their courage and their innovative ideas. So I'm going to make it really short because we're all here to listen to their live pitches and proposals. So how this is going to work is we're going to have 2 breakout rooms with 5 proposers in each room. So proposers, please join the room you are assigned to once they are live. And participants, you can choose whichever room you want to be in, and I hope it's going to be somewhat equal. Proposers, you have around 10 minutes, including Q&A for your presentation, so that would give you around 7 to 8 minutes for your presentation and 2 to 3 minutes for your Q&A. I mean, we're not extremely strict on the time, but please try and somewhat stick to it. And yes, while Jan is going to give a little update on the test round, I will set up the breakout rooms. And I'm extremely excited for today. I'm excited to get started. I know you're excited to get started. And
if I'm allowed to say something, Judith?
Yes, you are allowed.
I just want to say a few words to the proposers today that enjoy your space. It's a marvelous time to at least connect with the community and explain a little bit more what is your project about. Sometimes in my years in this kind of events, there was some questions that practically was a different thing of their life of the proposal after someone asked something because they didn't have the answer and they wants to change the whole project. So have fun, enjoy, and try to reconnect with people, try to reconnect with the community itself, because they are the voters, they decide, and it's a super huge and lovely opportunity also to see face to face with the people who's going to vote and also review your proposal itself. So have fun.
Jan, did you want to give a little update on the test round?
I think I have to, don't I?
We don't have to. We can also jump right into the breakout rooms. I would just have to set them up really quick, but I'm sure you have a little update.
Well, a short word. So we're doing this to make our portal better. And while we are working, doing this test round, we already identified a few things that could be improved. And one of these things is, for instance, making all the text fields in the proposal better editable. There wasn't there at the beginning, but based on your feedback, we added that. I don't know why we didn't add it in the first place, but you know how it goes with these things. By the way, we will also add that to the comments section, but that's still underway. Could be published one of these days, hopefully. So I would invite everybody who hasn't done so already to have a look at their long description and maybe also the other fields, and make sure that it's easily readable and digestible for all community members. And for all the community members here and perhaps listening to this video afterwards, you're very welcome to help test the platform by adding feedback in the comment section, which is new. Adding feedback in the reviews and ratings section. Don't be shy, just tell what you think of a project, and hopefully with the wisdom of the crowd here, we'll get better projects awarded, and the projects will also be able to use your feedback to improve what they're doing. And related to awards, we'll have voting round later, but I'm not nervous about that at all, because we had 65 or something proposals coming in, and we brought that down to 17. Two of them, unfortunately, didn't make it to submitting a proposal. So we have 15 winners here, basically. So there's no way deep funding can lose here, because whatever project will be voted in and will be awarded, I will be very happy. So yeah, I did my work, we did our work, and it's up to the presenters, and then it's up to the community to make your final decision. So looking forward to these presentations. Too bad I can't split myself in 2 rooms, so I will choose one, and then certainly we'll look at the other presentations in recorded way, and I hope everybody will.
All right, thank you for the update. Can you let me know if you can see the breakout rooms on screen?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So unfortunately, I only have a very short field where I can name them. So all I can put in is the name of the proposers. So I'm gonna share my screen again with the breakout room topics, so you can make a decision, and then, well, you're good to go to join a room. And for anyone that is pitching and you're not co-host yet, could you quickly let me know so I can make you co-host? So Rojo, you're first. Are you good to go?
Yes, yes. I'll open my camera. Excuse me if I'm not presentable. Yeah.
You're always presentable, Rojo.
Thank you. Thank you. So let's figure this thing out. So share my screen. Share my screen here. And can you see my screen? No. Okay, let me see. Why can't I click on this? Interesting. Okay, give me a second. Let's figure this thing out. Okay, slideshow. All right, should. Can everyone see my screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So, the title of this project is Defined Around 4 Best Contributors Experiment. Originally, it was defined around 3. It became defined around 4, and hopefully, we'll produce something that works for all the subsequent rounds. I will start by giving you some background, and also the background image that you can see here actually does represent our project a bit. So I wrote a prompt on I think it was ChatGPT-4. Whatever photo generating thing they have on OpenAI. I wrote to give me like basically a board that has humans and AI machines, and it gave me this. It doesn't have any humans. That's telling a bit, but hopefully we'll have humans and machines, and that's kind of in the core of what this project is about. The problem statement, or let's say the main topic, is how can we reward contributors after each defunding? And here the question raises quality versus quantity that we have been having for a while. And so far it has been quantity, but in the last round we did something very interesting, which was about the quality of the contribution. And we tried to get the best contributors and then like reward them directly. And we really restricted it to 10 people. And now the question is, how do we reproduce that, and how do we make it actually sustainable? if we're getting, let's say, millions of, well, not millions, let's say tens of thousands of contributors, like how do we keep that system working? And that's what we're kind of trying to do. The goals are basically to decrease the technical difficulty in distributing and assigning tasks. And the task that I'm referring to here is that the people who are basically kind of grading the contributors are reviewers, and these reviewers are humans, well, as of now. And we need to assign these tasks and assign them some those contributions so that they can grade them on some certain scale. We would like to reduce human bias when we're reviewing these textual comments. I mean, obviously, when you're given a grade, the difference between, let's say, a 5 and a 6 on a 10 scale is, well, arguable, right? We would like to ensure randomness and fairness in the process. So if I am the person, or Jan is the person who's assigning this task, well, how do we know that you assigned it on a, let's say, fair basis or whatever? And last one is to provide a smooth experience for reviewers. We would like our reviewers to get to the, let's say, to the work very smoothly and very quickly without having to jump through hoops so that they can review whatever contribution that is. What we will do in our project is 4 things. And obviously this is an ideation project, so we will not have a very, let's say, robust solution at the end, but rather we will have a working minimal viable product that can be tested, and then we can have the conversation based upon that to say, would we as a community like to go with the same vision and actually implement this to be scalable, or do we think it's maybe a silly thing to do and let's stick to another approach? Either can be true, obviously. So the first thing, we will provide like an action plan and an architecture of the solution that we want to implement. And this one will be open source. We'll present it in one of the town halls, and we would like to have conversations around that so that we can tweak it such that it does go with the vision of the community, because at the end it does serve the community. We're not building it for ourselves. The second thing is developing an MVP based on that specification from the previous step. Once we have a working MVP, we will do 2 types of experiments, and those are the third and the fourth point. The first point is we would like to simulate random data. So basically, it's not going to be that random. Obviously, it does have the structure of a contribution that we typically find, whether in Sway or whether in the platform now, comments and sub-comments. And we will kind of generate them probably using OpenAI's GPT or another LLM, and generate random data with different qualities and play a little bit with the prompts, and then feed that to the tool that we have. And we're thinking of hiring reviewers as well, and then make the whole experiment as if it's actually around and we have actual contributions. And then the next step is to move from, let's say, random fictional not true data that is randomly generated into actual data that we have from the previous round, and also from the actual round that we're going through now. Even though it's a test round, the data will be limited, but we can include it in the experiment. And then but what's going to be different, because obviously you can say, oh, okay, in the last round you already did it, right? Like you had reviewers and you already did the thing. The thing that is going to be different is that in both of these, whether it's the previous one, which is the simulation, or this one, which is the defounded round 3 testing, we would like to include AI agents. What I mean by that is we're gonna fine tune some models. Whether it's a GPT agent, we're gonna try a couple of ones. Obviously, it's not gonna be just one. A GPT agent, a Mistral fine-tuned kind of agent, and we're gonna kind of mix all of those and get different gradings from those agents, and then compare it with what the humans are saying. And then we would like to see statistically, well, are these 2 results coherent? And if not, why are they not coherent? And that's something we would like to present to the community, so that we kind of have that conversation. Do we want to include AI as one of the as giving us feedback on our contributions and maybe even scoring us Like, that's a big question. Do we want AI to score our contribution, and maybe that will reflect in our reputation, and all these kind of interesting questions that will come out of it. The team behind it, there is me. I'm gonna be a coordinator, bit of a process designer. I have a little bit of a background with the problem, so let's say I have a couple of ideas to test. But the main work, which is the implementations, are going to be done by Ranam, who's a full stack developer. And obviously, with the web app, we're going to aim for going for a low code solution, because we don't want to be, let's say, as involved, since it's not actually a project, but rather an ideation phase project. And we have Safar with as a data scientist, and that's she's going to be taking care of all what's experimentation in terms of implementing the AI agents, and also comparing the results between the humans and the AI agents. It's kind of that. I tried to keep it concise. Hopefully I didn't go over time, but if anyone has a question, go for it.
When will be the first run when this is awarded? When would you like to start performing a public test, please?
That's very interesting. So obviously the first two steps will be the ideation, and including, well, releasing basically those documents, the planning documents and the architecture, to the public. I understand that we can run after that, and then like just provide the architecture and then run through development. But in my opinion, we should take a little bit of a break and hear from the community, like, how can we change this, and what are the kind of iterations they would like to see. I'm trying to stay with that opinion, because I do understand eventually, like, this let's say product is for defunding community, and they're going to be affected by it if it gets implemented eventually. So I really would like to have that conversation. Obviously, I don't want to wait months, but as long as we feel like we get some feedback, maybe do like one town hall. And as you can see, I'm trying to think this through, because this is not something I really thought about before, about like the exact timeline. But I would say probably running through one town hall, and then giving like a week to get some feedback in form, and then right after that, like, implementing these, and then the development can take anything between a month and a half. So the experimentation is right after. So the calculation is a bit messed up, but hopefully this was clear.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Rocco. I think it's a great idea. You already did work on this in the previous round, and it's much needed. And I think yeah, even today I had conversations that would tap into this right here. So I think it's important. I think it's an urgent, and I think it's wonderful that you are just taking this initiative. So congratulations on that. One thing while listening to you, I'm always thinking ahead in these things, and I was thinking, so I can imagine if this really works after a couple of rounds and we get faith in it, that it might also impact how contributions are displayed. So the best contributions, according to this tool, could be displayed more prominently. And then the question would come up, is this something that could also be done in a real-time or almost real-time situation?
I see what you're saying. So I see where you're going. I think it's very interesting, actually. I think it's very interesting. Well, obviously, if it's going to be implemented to rank the comments as the round is already going, then the human factor is not going to be prominent there. So it's going to be AI agents giving you a ranking, maybe, well, not like real time, but near real time, let's say maybe on a daily basis or something like that. That could be interesting. But obviously, I can see people already commenting on this and maybe criticizing this decision. And I would say it will need, as you said, I mean, it will need some couple of rounds and fate. And fate obviously will come from the fact that people see that the results are working and they're good results. So yeah,
We'll take
I
it
don't
one
see why
step at
not.
a time. It could be a kind of adversarial network where contributions are being created by AI, and then we using our AI to call out them. Or if they are really good AI contributions, then maybe there's also nothing wrong with that. So yeah, that's the future. Interesting.
This is definitely interesting.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Mauros, I don't know if that was a question in the chat. You said goal-based question mark, compare humans versus AI question mark, and results that function question mark. Is that a question? I'm not sure if you're able to speak.
Goal-based. Good question. AI somehow.
I would suggest to move on and not linger too long, and let the next person take the stage.
Yeah, next up is Muhammad. Are you ready to pitch or present?
Yeah, hi, I'm just sharing my screen.
Amazing.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah, it shows up.
So hi, ladies and gentlemen, very nice to meet you. Today I presented our proposal. It's called Cultural Code, Integrating Diversity into Coding, the aim of the project. So basically the idea is they are like population of the people in the world is nearly up to 8 billion people. And most of those people like don't speak English, and programming languages are all provided in English and so on. And every day the biggest libraries ever are being updated and so on, and the documentation have been handling new libraries, new functions, and already many of the old functions get deprecated and so on. And for many of the users who are from countries does not speak English, they have some kind of barrier into tap into the new into keeping up with the updated programming languages and so on. And I knew this because I was growing up in Sudan and there we speak Arabic. And I remember my journey when I started learning programming. I started with reading Arabic books, those explain the codings in Arabic and so on. And I remember my friends and I and those journey. And when I then have contact with different people, I realized, okay, most of people need to find tools and books to explain the code in their native languages, especially in the very beginning stages. And now every day we have updates to the libraries and so on. Then this came idea, okay, they are large language models. We can build a platform, and this platform we can allow people to extract whatever code they want. They can go to the platform, define the programming language they wanna extract, and then also decide which. And after they decide the programming language they want, they go and decide, okay, the level, the forks, the stars, and so on. And then we have in the back end, we have a large language models and so on, and we parse the programming language into their preferred language, like English, Chinese, Spanish, or so on, and then give explanation to each code part. And at the end of the day, they have the English code, they have the code into their languages, also explain, parse, they know all the information, and they have all updated information. And depending on the user's interaction, we can make tutorials from the most asked questions between the users. And then, as you can see, even if you go and use ChatGPT, you can ask ChatGPT, what do you know about best code most updated in version 2024? And it has a cap. And if you want to learn something new, you have to go to the documentation, bring the code there here, and ask him to explain everything alone. And it'll be like inconvenient to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But in our platform, we are gonna give the people a tool. In this tool, they decide which programming language they want to learn. The tool will ethically collect all the codes, respecting all the license, because their codes are depending to patent and license and so on, and their codes those are free, and then give the people explanation, which be very ideal for scientific experiments and provide a modular open source API for flexibility and help in research collaboration as researchers from different languages, different countries can collaborate together. And then came the SingularityNET. They have in the vision of the decentralization. We believe that our project will help make an advanced AI accessible to all people by reducing computation barrier and language barrier as well. Open source contribution. The code will be open source. The platform will be open source. It will be installed and deployed into SingularityNET. Then you have privacy and security. All the codes will be in based into SingularityNET. Nobody is gonna know your interactions with the platform except a few. And we only gonna collect metadata to understand the most requested stuff and can be worked out into next phase into which we can build kind of tutorials and so on for the most asking stuff. And then you have more collaboration and make the platform easier to use by people. And these innovation expansions as well. So the teams, we are 3 people, Mukhtar, Ammar, and I, all doing masters in artificial intelligence and data science, and have diversified skills from machine learning to deployment, as well as good working with discourse relation and parsing, and also into large language modeling with code generation and understanding. And the impact of the existing models, we already have developed some models for the code generation, and they have been downloaded, given that downloaded by the community, and we believe that we can tune our codes to this new task here and provide a platform that help people to integrate together and collaborate for the better common use. And the milestone will be divided into 6 main stages: building the platform to collect the code. Then we have a natural language explanation for each code. We are gonna use open source codes and tune them for code explanation in the different languages. And then you have the parsing, in which we're gonna parse the languages from the English into the other languages. And then we're gonna do deployment, in which we're gonna collect all the 3 main steps together and deploy it. And then you have the onboarding. Of course, the interpreters and the compilers are designed to work with English code, but at the end, we have the English code, we have the code into the other languages with the explanation, with every stuff parsed, and then parsed for the main function, and then the user can compare the code and learn from it faster. So basically, that's our code. And yeah, if any question, please feel free to ask.
Rubio, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, thank you so much. Wonderful project here, I must say. I just want to see, so in your presentation, you made reference to some academic paper that you've worked on something similar, and you also have a similar repository on Hugging Face. I would like to have to go see it and probably see either the theories around all of these and how this works in essence. So yeah, that's what that's the first question. Maybe it's a question or not, I don't know how you see that. But the second is how many languages does this cover? Because it seems like you're talking more of Arabic and English, and I don't know if that's the only languages it covers, and what other languages does it cover? I also want to ask, maybe in future, what are the other plans for inclusion that does not only pertain to language difference, but inclusion in terms of accessibility and all this other stuff, for like maybe people that are visually impaired and other stuff, and other forms of the democratization of coding that would be relevant. How do you see the future of this as well? Thank you.
Good, thank you. That's a very good question. So basically, our project is not like only for English and Arabic. I just give an example, but it mainly work for Chinese, Spanish, or whatever. Because we in the end of the day, we have to define a set of languages. We aim to start by Chinese, Spanish, and Arabic, because those are like Chinese very many people speak Chinese, and Spanish, like second most popular languages, and then Arabic, for example. And then we can work and tune those codes because we're still not in the point where we have artificial intelligence, and tune the project, tune the platform to work for those 3 languages, and then you have all the explanation in all of them. Regarding regarding our experience, our past experience was into taking the LLMs and and modify them like very parameter efficient tuning to achieve good results, because they are very huge foundational models, and now people start to say, okay, scale is all you need. Take very huge model and use it. This makes sense because huge models have a very strong nonlinearity relationship, but it's very costly. It takes time for inference, it takes time for deployment. Our experience is into taking smaller models and tune these smaller models to fit for other tasks with a good accuracy, with a good precision, and so on. And that's this is what we presented in the this is what I was presenting, like the impact of the existing models and so on. Regarding the decommoditization and so on, yeah, of course, we are interested into making everything open source and align with the vision of SingularityNET and so on. And as I mentioned, we always in the next step, like we're gonna monitor the interaction with the platform and then see what we can make more, like provide tutorials, okay, onto the into specific kind of language. Build them already, make them off the shelf for different programming languages and different stuff. Then people can come and find that the platform user experience easy, and they are more interested into going and using the platform, and they now have trust in it and more inclusive and can go ahead together. If I forget to answer one of your question, please feel free to remind me. I will have,
no problem. How do I get access to your literature review that you've done prior?
Literature in terms of publications or literature in terms of
any format, because you said here that you've done extensive literature review on AI democratization and efficient training of LLMs. I think it's extremely important.
You can go to this table directly in Hugging Face. These models are already there in Hugging Face.
Yeah, like can you share a link? That's what I mean.
Good, I can share link. Easy.
All right, thank you.
Just a reminder that we're well above the time limit for that one.
Good.
We have 2 more questions. Rojo, is it a quick one?
Yeah, quick question. I was wondering, like, if there was like a plan to maybe do some simple implementation, like where like maybe it could be used by a wide public, something like a Google Chrome extension, or I don't know, like a Gitbook extension, whatever, something that will make it really accessible so that people use it. Have you thought about that?
So basically, for the beginning, we're more focused on building a platform, a separate platform, but we can take this into consideration for further improvement of the code and further improvement of the experience. The idea of building a platform in the beginning, because we need to deploy different component stuff together, and this is the first time for us to do this. We can have more control. Once the project is good, once we're sure about the quality, we can go ahead and build like build the plugins, and then people can go and use it instead of going and rushing for a plugin without ensuring the quality, and then people have a bad experience about it at the beginning. But yeah, for sure, anything that makes user experience good, we are really interested in any kind of feedback for that. Then we can work it out, and you can add it to the future steps that can be added to the project. And thank you very much for this insightful comment.
Thank you so much, Mohammed. Ken, you're up next. Are you ready?
Yes, I think so. Let's give it a go.
And Mohammed, I think you need to stop sharing first your screen before Ken.
There we are.
Not sharing anymore.
Okay, let's see.
Send the link. You can go and check part of our models.
Okay, And let's share screen 1. So I'll start a little countdown timer here. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, so rather than create a slideshow, I wanted to instead show you the background behind what we're building and why we're building it. As you can see here, this photograph actually I took in Prague in 2013 when there was a flooding event that was about 8 feet high, between 8 and 10 feet high. And this is the second flood that took place in Prague. The first one was around 2001 and it had catastrophic results. This time there was more preparation in place in terms of barriers, in terms of flood mitigation by using pumps and so on. And it was also a lower amount. So this flooding question, as a person who grew up on the coast always, is also a personal question. On the East Coast, we've had issues with atmospheric rivers causing a sudden drop of around 114 milliliters of rain over a few days. In Nova Scotia right now, we've had 110 centimeters of snow dropping, and that will turn into snowmelt soon enough. And of course, this creates challenges for emergency response. For people not used to extreme weather events, are they prepared with food and water and heat for a few days? Because in these cases, it's not so easy to have help come to them. This is an event that took place in 2023 around February, where Hurricane Fiona hit the coast of Newfoundland on the East Coast, which is where I'm from. I'm from primarily Nova Scotia. And it swept a lot of these houses out to sea or destroyed them, as you can see here. And these are families that have lived decades on the water. Newfoundland and the water and the fisheries is a very, very close-knit relationship. So at the end of the day, people are struck with these waves. They lose their housing. Emergency response is not really so accustomed to these extreme events because they're new, they're unusual. So I thought to tackle flood mapping. My own background involves some experience with the Geological Survey of Canada in terms of groundwater and communicating amongst groups for development. So flood mapping is something that is timely given the weather we're experiencing here and also experiencing in Europe. Now, Flood Hub, Google's Flood Hub, is the inspiration for this project. And in this case, you can zoom into any particular area and look at flood warnings, flood forecasting over a few days, and so on. So let's see, I'll just bring this down here. Google approached it using both a topographical model and a hydrological model. And then they created an inundation model from that. What they did was go to reporting points on riverine or river areas. They would model what's happening at that point and then pass that information downstream to the next point to build up an intelligent and more accurate awareness of what's happening with flooding. So with my project, what we're aiming for, of course, we're not Google, but what we're aiming for is a model that belongs to the community that we can develop as a group. We'll get it started and we'll build a prediction model based on specific locations using this same strategy of understanding how water operates within a soil or a riverside environment. And that's important. They found with Google's experiment, that they actually increased the accuracy of flood forecasting. And because of the application of AI, they were able to cover areas that typically have data scarcity. And it happens that the places that are hardest hit by flooding with the most scarce data are the ones that don't have the budgets to be able to pay for the scientific research. So their calamity and their problems are multiplied. And I think this is a worthwhile application of AI and also of our effort as a community to participate in. So, oh, good, only a minute and a half. This is awesome. So what we did was research what Google was doing for their particular approach and see how we could adapt it to ours. And there's a lot of material. This is the JSON they provide, which has some forecasting, but their focus is on creating timely alerts. Our focus will be on understanding more clearly the science of what's happening in terms of inundation of riversides, just focusing on that particularly, build up a model of it, and then be able to output JSON that will then inform a real-time environment. And we can see there's a lot of research we can rely on, specifically wastewater modeling and flood events and tidal riverside events. So we won't have a shortage of science to refer to, which is nice for once. I've built up a Miro board as well, which is publicly available, where I'm collecting all of these pieces. So now, in terms of bringing this into real time, why bring it into real time at all? I'm doing that because being able to see these events from a simulation of a first person changes the dynamic of it. I think it's useful both for people who may be a bit skeptical of climate-driven flooding, or may not have experience with it, just regular residents or critically policymakers. When people see what's happening in front of them in terms of density, in terms of flooding mitigation, in terms of flood risk in this new normal, that can help drive policy. And I believe there may be usefulness in terms of first responders as well, because first responders in Newfoundland, this scale of emergency is new to them. And so new policies need to be made. And that's my 6-minute mark there. I'll stop that. So how do we bring this into Unity for the real time now that we've covered the modeling? And assuming, of course, we'll output a JSON, somewhat similar to flood mapping. I have tools within Unity that I've built up over the last 2 years that allow me to access map layer data, such as this. And in this case, I've chosen a location which I think Jan may be familiar with, because at the time I created the proposal, this area was experiencing river flooding. So by capturing this latitude and longitude, I'm able to bring it into a Unity 3D environment, as you can see here. And it attempts to replicate the rivers, the roads, the landscape, and so on. There'll have to be some manual work done, of course, because the rivers need to be correctly represented, but I have tools for that as well. In terms of simulating it, our project is small, so we're going to focus on the modeling. And we can't replicate a city exactly. So what I'm going to do is generate a city algorithmically that can be explored, and then position a few custom models that will be created by a member of our team. So I'll go back to here. We also want to populate this with avatars, such as we did with the Carbix metaverse. In this case, we built up speech-to-text, nonverbal body communication, and we had also built up ChatGPT connectivity, which you can see here. So you can ask avatars directly what the questions will be. So we're going to simulate being able to speak with both a citizen who's in the midst of this flooding event and a first responder, just building upon the work that we've done here. Now, in terms of creating crowd dynamics, because crowd dynamics will be very important in a flooding situation, for our avatar animation, we rely on iClone. And they've recently added some terrific crowd simulation for free, which I'll be able to bring into the Unity universe in our projects for the first time. So that's a Zoom meeting. We also have access to the entire Kit-3D model system, so that'll reduce our need to create models. Now, if we go back to this, building on the milestones, I've divided them in smaller amounts so that we can focus first on the AI development and then begin to build up the virtual environment layer by layer. And at the end of the work, we'll have a marketing event where we can invite people to view a live stream of the flooding event. Now, the flooding event itself, in conclusion, is going to need a few particular things. We're going to need to be able to show how floodwaters pass over berms, how they overrun sewage channels. So to that end, I have some specific small location fluid simulation plugins that we'll be able to use. And for a catastrophic flooding event, I want to be able to show destruction of various types of foundation, like a dirt foundation, cinder block, and cement, in a very limited way. So we'll use a ray fire for this. So what will happen is that we'll pull in water level information from our API, from the model we create. We'll bring it into a real-time environment. populate that with first responders and citizens, simulate some crowd, build in an ability to interview what's happening with a first responder and a citizen at the time, and then show the effects of floodwaters in very focused, limited physical simulations to show how water moves around objects, how it carries objects along with it, and to show an erosion event as well for a building. And the reason to do all of this from the first person is because it's scary, because we need to be able to show the frightening problems that can occur, but also the heroic efforts and pre-planning we can make to mitigate it. So in the end, what I'm hoping to provide the community is an effective flood model that we can build on. It'll be open source. And then a first-person simulation that can be used in dialogue with people who live in these areas. And this is our team. I've chosen a GIS expert with a bit of machine learning experience and machine learning expert with flood mapping experience. And this last account is Alper, who's a phenomenal 3D modeler who's created a model for me for the Ruby Room Cathedral, and wait until you see it. It's amazing. And I think that's it. I think I've gone over time. Thank you so much. And I hope my mic was on as well.
It was on.
Oh, phew, great.
Thank you so much. Does anyone have questions? Fascinating. Oh my goodness.
Thank you.
I have maybe a quick question, Ken, if that's okay.
Yes, please.
So you're creating this model. I think all of this is really cool, and the things you showed, it's really interesting. And to see that and to be able to plan with a real simulation, I think it's useful. And my question is, for example, you focus on a region, you do this modeling for that region, and how scalable is this for other regions if you wanted to expand?
That's an excellent question. Now, models, Google's approach, for example, of course, they have access to something like 8,000 models now at this point in time. So what we will do, we'll have to do on a much smaller scale. And what I would like to do is start with these areas in the flood map that have, oh, there we go. Sorry. Start with these areas in the flood map. So we'll begin with Newfoundland, and I'd like to have at least 1 to 3 locations. And of course, the more locations we have, the better. As we develop our model, we can compare it with Google Flood Hub for accuracy. If we're very successful in terms of creating our initial model, then we can begin to add more and more locations. And I'll take advice, of course, from the machine learning modelers in terms of how much variety they need for us to make an effective model. Now, given the budget and the time, I think that if we achieved a low-medium accuracy to start, then that will be a success and we can continue to build on it. I want to continue developing this model past the project end and into the future as well, because it needs more time, more locations, and more training.
Thank you.
Jan. You're welcome. Thank you, Raphael.
It's health question, health remark, I suppose. And adding to what Raphael was already saying, I can imagine that the localization is important. And you mentioned that you will not have the bandwidth to do every building. By the way, talking of bandwidth, if you would have explained all this and asked me what it would cost, I would probably have said, well, $1 million or something. So I'm amazed that you can do this for 40K. It's really, really, really impressive. But I think you might be able to make a business model out of doing this as a service for certain locations, and then maybe also adding real recognizable buildings, because if you want to play on the emotions of people, then that recognition, hey, F word, that is it's being recorded, right? That is my town, or that is my house, or that is the city center where I live. Oh, whoa, that would bring the real emotional response that you're looking for. And if you have all this plumbing in place, then yeah, that would be a relatively easy sell, I would say.
Thank you for mentioning this. Any place that's a coastal or riverine area that's subject to flooding can become a customer of such a model. My mind is very much on the developing of it, so I appreciate that you've mentioned this, that it could have an actual self-sustaining future beyond it. And I agree with you in terms of replicating a recognizable area. Alper, the fourth person of our team, is a very talented and experienced architectural modeler. So I've brought him on to be able to replicate something like a city square or a recognizable landmark with 3 to 4 buildings. and that will give us a start to showing it. And I'm glad that you've brought this up, because it is very true. People need to see their hometown and recognizable landmarks to have that emotional connection and commitment to it. So we'll be able to do a bit of that. The distant city will be generated, but the immediate area of the flood simulation, we can create a limited amount of custom models for. Thank you. Rofo or Rojo?
Rojo. Yeah. I had a small question. I was thinking about like who can be like a typical, I want to say, user of such solution, and I could only think of perhaps governments, whether local or federal. And I was thinking, I mean, governments are not notoriously known for choosing decentralized solutions, right? And I was thinking, like, what would be like kind of a selling point for such solution? Have you thought about that?
Yes, that's an excellent question. Of course, the government will have the resources on the federal level to work with the provincial levels in Canada, since you have provinces instead of states. And those tend to have their own regional geological societies and hydrological talent. And then if you go further down into this, on the civic or municipal level, you'll have people that are invested in sciences of what's happening in their local community. As any place else, there's always a situation where the communication is not both ways. So I think what would be attractive to government would be being able to plug in or test their models with the simulation system. And what would be attractive on the municipal and perhaps the provincial level would be the first person view or the experience of how a flood event could unfold. Now, the simulation in terms of immersive 3D will be new to our government processes. They're typically working with maps and extensive databases. But it's only now that I know from contacts of my own in the mapping community that they're starting to investigate how AI can start to fill in blank map areas. So we'd be contributing a bit to that conversation of how AI can fill in scarce data. We'd be providing a resource to municipalities who typically don't have the budget to experiment with this. But that's where policy is made on a local level. And then we'll be able to introduce the utility of a first-person experience in facilitating a conversation with communities. Because when you speak with people, they may have lived for decades in an area and are still catching up to the idea of the climate changing and flooding and so on. So this kind of tool you can put in between a table of parties and show them and engender conversation. And that's very important too, because that's where policy change will start to take effect. So I try to see it in a kind of a multiplexed layered level. Thank you for your question. These are great questions, and I'll have to write them down immediately after I finish. Okay. Thank you for your time.
All right. Any other questions? If not, Raphael, you'd be next.
Okay, just sharing my screen. One moment. Can you guys see my screen? Let me try to present. Oh no, why is this not presenting? Okay. Let me see if this one works. Okay. Okay, great. Final. All right. So hello, everyone. Thank you for having me here and for taking your time to listen to this proposal. And as you can see here on the title, we are trying to create an AI agent for inheritance tax advice. This is a proposal that is on the ideation round, on the ideation category. And here I think it's important to always start with the problem. And the problem is, you know, when someone dies and you have an inheritance to collect, which is probably the last thing you're thinking about when that happens, it's a tough process in terms of bureaucracy. You have a lot to take care of, at least in some countries. In my country, you have a lot to take care of sometimes if they don't have things well sorted out. And at the end of the day, you need to pay your taxes, your inheritance taxes, which is also an issue. You come and you see that you have a bunch of rules, You have the legal jargon that is hard to understand for many people. This is like a very specific situation. So at the same time, are you really willing to spend that much time learning about it if you don't have to face it constantly? And of course, to find good advice and good experts, sometimes it can be hard, and it's also expensive, what makes a lot of people not being able to afford it. So at the end of the day, I've met a lot of people that just do it on their own, and whatever happens, happens. And many of the times there are no optimizations and things could be done better at the end of the day. So for that, we are trying to create this AI agent that would provide tailored inheritance tax advice for your legislation, and considering as well your specific situation, what you stand to actually receive in your inheritance. This is an ideation proposal to mitigate the risks and understand what we really need to do at the end of the day. And for that, we'll start with some research planning, assessing the whole feasibility of the project and what are the features we really need to have. Will be working with Genwealth, the first inheritance protocol on Cardano that will actually pilot these, have these on the website for people to use. But besides that, we have also other interesting platforms to explore, like for example, Will.Easy, that is a platform for online wills that would be interested in using this as well in the future. And yeah, everything we do here is going to be open source and available. And in the future, if this proposal turns from ideation to an actual proposal, it will be available on the Singularity marketplace for everyone to use. This is basically an overview of our milestones. And we start a little bit with the legislation research. We will study and choose the best legislations according to a set of criteria. From that point onwards, we'll analyze those legislations, create some examples of optimizations we can follow, and also understand the legal requirements of offering such a product, which has legal and tax implications and can be sensitive. Besides that, we'll do an effort to understand the functionalities required by our consumers, by the people who will be using us, from B2B customers, such as, for example, these will platforms that could be using us, or B2C if we create a platform, a front end for people to take initiative and go there and use it on their own if they need some help and advice. And afterwards, of course, we have the third milestone to plan everything related to the development of this AI agent, assessing the feasibility, defining the tech stack that would fit best the model we're trying to build, the key technical functionalities. And I have something I wanted to take this out of the way. Yeah, and create like the complete development plan. And then the final milestone is to create that report open source for everyone to be able to leverage these and build these if anyone wants. And of course, draft a proposal to actually build this if it's possible, right? Then there's the team. You have myself. Yeah, this is some of the things here. I'm working with Genwealth, one of the team members. And besides that, I've worked with Will.Easy as well, funding that project, building it through the startup I work with. And I'll be taking care of the legislation part, the customer feature requirements and proposal development. We have Ariadne, who's the CTO. He will help with the requirements for Will.Easy, for Genwealth. It will also provide technical requirements for integration. And then we have our AI expert that will be doing a lot of the research and helping us develop this model. At the end of the day, this is our proposal. So if you find it interesting and valuable, please vote for it. And thank you so much for listening. I don't know if there was any questions. Please feel free.
Ken?
Yeah, it's faster than finding the hands up button on the screen. So
Yeah.
the jurisdictions, of course, will be very complicated. Which jurisdictions will you begin with? And will you be bringing this to North America as well?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. And I think Jan already asked us a question very similar to this in in the deep funding platform. And basically, we want to start with around 10 to 15 legislations, depending on the complexity. So we'll analyze them and decide that. We will choose according to different criteria, such as the potential for the users to be interested in this service, and also things like, for example, the optimizations that could actually be done. If there's a legislation where there's no point in actually providing a service like this, there's no point in doing any of that. Those will be kind of the criteria, and would like to provide in the US for sure, because it's an interesting market, a big market, and you have also a lot of disparities. You have people that are very rich, but other people that are not, which is also interesting to have that that diversity, let's say. But we will need to analyze the legislation. Sometimes I've heard it's a bit complex, depending on the state, and a little bureaucratic. So that will be part of the first milestone of the proposal.
Thank you.
I also have a question. So
Okay.
at which point in the whole inheritance case would you be able to start using this? Because I've been, well, in a situation where I inherited something, and to even just figure out that final amount took 2 years, and I've gotten advice from different lawyers, and everyone told me something else. So I assume in order to use your solution, it would basically all have to be figured out and settled, and then you can give advice on the tax part of it, or at what point?
Yeah, ideally it's at the point that you know what you stand to receive, which is easier if the person has a will and everything is organized, and can be more complicated if they don't. But technically is that at that point, for example, taking an example, for example, with crypto inheritance protocols or something like that, that it's actually fairly fast because everything is already set and you know what you stand to gain. With real life situations, if there is a will, usually, and if the will is valid, usually it's relatively easy to know what you stand to gain. It's just a matter of then locating the assets. That can be a problem sometimes. If you don't have a will, then yeah, you'll need to figure it out before to see the possible tax optimizations. It's all based on the values you stand to gain. Yes.
Okay, so you would double check, like, would the system or would anyone double check that that is the case, like it's all settled, or would you just?
What do you mean with double check? Double check the advice of the AI model,
Well, would you make sure that the client that's trying to use that actually knows what the inheritance is? Because that can be very confusing and not figured out for years.
For sure. Our
Do you always
idea,
make sure and double check that they know
yeah,
the exact amount?
no, we don't have a solution for that. This is like a tool. You have an amount, you put your amount, and you can get some advice and some calculations to improve just on tax, not on the rest of the bureaucratic process. That will be something more complex to develop. What we are working on, or what we are doing, is working with companies that do help in taking care of that process. So, for example, just to give you an example, if we integrate with the platform, and there are competitors like Will Easy platform. What they do is you can create your online will, and then you can also ask the help for a professional executor and all those people that will guide you through the process of getting your inheritance. And they could have this tool available in the platform for the clients as a bonus or an extra help for them, because yeah, sometimes the solicitors, yeah, sometimes that's an extra part of the process to have some more optimized tax advice in some legislations. So you kind of cut that with this AI agent, but the rest of the process is taken by the companies that are, professionals in doing that.
Thank you. Any other question? If not, then Joshua, you would be next.
Well, thank you, and good luck, Joshua.
Thank you so much. Okay, let's see here. I'm going to share screen. Okay. Okay. Okay, do you guys see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, here we go in 10 minutes. This is a proposal for Jam Galaxy making a Roblox game. And Ben is heavily part of it in the Jam Galaxy team. This is Roblox, for those who don't know, it's 70 million users a day for the kids, mainly Gen Z, Gen Alpha. And really, I see the main point, really users, a lack of users in Web3 and SNET in general, and then understanding how we access those kids, younger people, for the next generation that are interested in new and cool things. So that is the basic premise of the proposal. And Ben has basically done this end to end, so it's his game. And I basically talk about it like a 3D Tetris. So we'll go into it more, but it like a 3D Tetris that integrates and gamifies music and AI. So a little background about us. MetaHug is our server. We built games, communities for other brands in Roblox. And we have some understanding of Gen Z, Gen Alpha. We help brands in general help understand the next generation. I'm going to be speaking at the conference end of February about this education, what we're doing with that, and just really educating anything from AI or Web3 to anything for the young people, and helping within our Discord. We're about 5,700 in our Discord around the world, and just young people giving insight, built for teens by teens for those brands. So that's our expertise. SpeakingTeens.com is the book that just came out, and we basically the book skewed slightly younger in terms of our survey. It's slightly younger than the average Roblox user, but this is basically the age demographic that we took about 1,000 kids from the 5,700 to get the insight. So that, of course, in the book you can see it, and you can look at pretty equal in terms. And this really is skewed fairly similarly to Roblox. So this is why I pulled this. This would be the demographic that we're targeting in basically who we would go to with the 70 million daily users. The red is other. There's, of course, it's kind of global. Our Discord is in 26 countries. And then, of course, Roblox isn't represented in every country. But it is very similar, about 40% of Roblox in the US, and then the rest is outside. And so this is actually skewed slightly less. So there's even more experienced players. This is actually more young players, like less experience. So the Roblox fanatics, the fans, have been on it on an average, I think, 4.5 years. So they live and breathe on there. So this is basically the storyboard of the game, and we'll go on to a deeper dive if we have time. But this is kind of an overview. Like I said, it's like a 3D Tetris. Those building blocks, we will connect. This is more of us just building a front end, just like us building any other game for another brand. And normally it is more expensive than $50,000 to build a game in Roblox. So on average, a brand pays about $250,000 to $650,000, and so the $50,000 is somewhat of a challenge because of the limit in budget. But Jam Galaxy is committed to making it work, and Ben is definitely excited about it because this is his, dream brought to life and wanting it. So we would basically just taking that and taking it to the storyboard. So he wanted this, and this is, of course, anyone can read, but as you can see it, there's many ways you can go with it. And there's, of course, this is what we have so far, and it may, evolve and augment into other things. But as you basically create music live in real time through these building blocks and through the AI synthesizer, and you're actually being able to control the panel, showing the dynamic sound generation and processing that. So basically, our goal is just basically creating a front end, having an API, these 3D worlds, and then on the back end, Jam Galaxy will then connect to existing tech that's already there, and that will, we can go into next. But this is basically a visualization of the game. What it would look like is just a storyboard. Of course, it's not going to look like exactly like this because we haven't started on it, but someone asked in the comments before about the design phase. It's only the design phase because we basically, most of the storyboard and the design and everything has been kind of decided on because we've spent a lot of time on it. Now we just have to actually, put it in Blender and make it happen. So the screenshots here, you can see everything here. I think we have 3 minutes left, so, or 3.5. So this, as you can see, this kind of brought to life, coming to the community. I think that it's great to be able to play together and building that community and gamifying it. You could have different reward systems, UGCs, seeing with different tokenization models. There's definitely ways to make this work in and outside of Roblox. So there's, I think, many models here that actually work. So we may try one and then we pivot and another works slightly better, but this is the basic baseline of what we see so far as the potential that would work. Let me see. Yeah. So Ben, just go over the team. I think you can see Ben and his team would again connect the AI synthesizer and the voice model to via the API that we have. So we're basically the front end, and that's the existing tech. Me and my co-founder Leanne, and of course our team built 14 by teams. It's basically our Discord of 5,600, but really there's a core team of about 20 in our Discord that really build that. And that's the overview. This is just kind of an overview. Of course, the budget's 50,000, and yeah, I think that about covers everything. So I leave time for questions. Yes, Ken. Sorry for the dog.
Oh, that's what it was. I thought it was a cat,
Yeah.
a very large cat.
No. Oh yeah. Sorry.
Okay, so a few questions, mostly in terms of the age of players based on one diagram skews fairly young, and then there's an intermediate group. Two things. One of them, the design as presented in these storyboards seems very complex for young players. And the second question is, there's a monetization strategy, but these kids are not the age of majority. So how would that all work?
Right. Well, the fastest growing demographic actually right now is 17 to 24 on Roblox. So I think 23% of that 70 million users a day is 17 to 24. And then that's the fastest growing demographic. So this would be for slightly skewed, slightly older, like a high schoolers. And then that would be the demographic. I mean, right now they even have first person shooter games on Roblox. And so since that is unique to the platform, that would be something that basically we're testing and skewing older with. And so, yeah, can you remind me your other question?
We couldn't hear you again. I think your mic went away.
The audio dropped out for the second portion of that explanation. But I'm not sure if it's your side or my side.
No, I didn't know. I didn't know if you had another question, if I answered it properly. So does anyone else have any other questions?
Well, maybe I have a remark, and maybe I can turn it into a question if I really try. So
Yeah.
apart from the fact that that Ben is condoning this, what I really like about it is that it is actually using services on our platforms. Now, these two services that you're using are not yet on the platform, but I understand that they are being developed by Jam Galaxy. They will be on the platform, they will be picked up by you, and then you will be using it. So the fact that we are actually using services on the platform and connecting it to a platform with that many users already, yeah, bodes well for usage and API calls and such. So that is something.
Yeah.
If I can make this into one question, you
Yeah.
throw a lot of numbers out here. So there are 1,000 people that answered your survey. There are 70 million people a day that use this game. What are your realistic expectations when this game is done? What do you think the adoption will be?
Right. Our UGC strategy, in terms of what we've done for other communities, we can see about if depending with the UGC model that we have, basically gifting UGC to then have them join the community, we can say about 1,000 to join per day, depending on what scale we're doing in terms of marketing and what we're doing for gaining users in the Roblox community, and then that onboard offboard into the Discord. That Discord, when you drop, of course, you have to have a code for the UGC strategy. That engagement, it creates more engagement, and then that will then connect to other things that Jam Galaxy might benefit from, and of course SNET as well, in general Web3 for users. So we see just more mainstream adoption, that you could have cross promotions with other mainstream brands, for example, like a Happy Meal, for example, like we were just discussing, like McDonald's in Latin America put it with their Happy Meal. And so things like this, where you become more mainstream by entering this, because it is music, for example, and music in high school, everyone loves music, right? So you have the ability to do things like Spotify does, like Spotify has a game in Roblox, right? And you're just reaching a mass market that has never really been done before in Web3, because it's just not that mass appeal. But now with music and Roblox, you're able to then potentially cross brand with someone to, I'm not saying McDonald's or Happy Meal, but that equivalent is possible. So that is, I see very, very realistic if all is said and done, especially AI being very hot as a topic, and every brand is wanting to kind of attach to this new AI PR. I think there is very, very much potential for new collaborative efforts in this field, if that makes sense. So I think it is very realistic for it to be successful.
It's like music to my ears.
Yes. Yes, I agree. I think, no, Ben's, honestly, this is all Ben's masterpiece, and we're just bringing it to life in Roblox for him, but this is all of his ideas. So I really think he did. I mean, it's basically a 3-dimensional Tetris in my mind. So I think it's brilliant.
Can't have a better reference than that. So I'll rest my case here. Great presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, it looks like the other room has finished and has already left. So we're the only ones here.
Great.
All right. So yeah, I think when we are in deep funding round 4 and we have like 100 presentations or something, we may be a little bit more strict in time or have a lot more breakout rooms. But for me, I really enjoyed this, and I think we saw 5 really great projects. And yeah, if the projects in the other breakout room were equally good, then yeah, for those in the ideation pool, they are covered, I think. But the rest in the new projects, it will be a bloodbath because only 3 can win, and I have no idea which are the ones that that should not win or not be awarded. But I would like to mention that I would really love to see you back in deep funding round 4, should you not be rewarded. And maybe some that get rewarded can already think about the next phase in deep funding round 4. And before that, in a week or 2 or so, I hope we can schedule a workshop or something, a meeting, where I would love to hear all about your experiences in this new platform, and like to hear your ideas and suggestions on all the things that we can do better. So thank you, and to be continued, I would say.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Deep Funding Spotlight Day. It's the first edition, indeed, of the Spotlight Day. It's a marvelous event to reconnect with the community, with the voters, and present your proposals and answer questions. So, as Judith mentioned, in the main room, you will have 10 minutes to present your proposal, and after that, there will be an open section for questions. So, every one of us we are here today because we are community members also, and also we vote. So it's a great opportunity, and you know that at least one adjective of vote do you have with each great presentation. So I have here the agenda, and we will start with Amar, leveraging AI and remote sensing to empower small farms. Welcome, Amar. How are you?
Okay, hello. I'm fine, thank you. And hello, everyone. And thank you for the community for this opportunity. So yeah, I will try to share my screen now. Okay. Okay, I think it should be sharing now. So let me just
Perfect.
pop it. Yeah. Want to start the slideshow? Does the slideshow work as well? Yeah, great. So hello everyone. My name is Ammar. I'm a machine learning engineer and geospatialist. Our project is proposed by Enigma AI, and we have another project in the another room. So yeah, we're excited for this session. This project that I will be leading, it's named Satellite Insight for Sustainable Farming. In this project, our goal is to use remote sensing data from satellites and machine learning to advocate and democratize precision agriculture, and as a result, push for sustainable farming. So we can start with our mission statement for this project. So our mission is to democratize access to precision agriculture. How would we do that? That would be through AI and remote sensing data. So precision agriculture is an interesting term in farming and food production, which we will get to it later. But access to it is limited, and our mission is to make it as accessible and as affordable as possible. So first, let's start by defining the problem. So the problem is kind of twofold. First, our project is mainly focused toward the smallholder farmers. These are farmers with farms that are less than 2 hectares of area. And these farmers represent 90% of farmers worldwide, and the farms are 24% of the farmland worldwide. However, these farmers, as many as they are, they suffer from low productivity and low yields and lack of access to technology. That's kind of the problem and the reason there. So the low productivity and low yields is because of the lack of access to technology. And the other fault of the problem is that accessibility to technology. So on the right, you can see a figure known as the 5 A's of technology accessibility. So it's availability, affordability, awareness, ability, and agency. This project will be focused on the 2 most outer section of it, the availability and affordability. So our goal is to make technology in farming more available and more affordable to smallholder farms. How would we do that? Well, our solution is through, as we said, precision agriculture. So a quick definition of precision agriculture is that it encompasses the use of data and technology to provide simpler and more efficient and productive farming solutions to farmers worldwide. As you may guess, smallholder farmers would be disadvantaged in this area, as access to data and technology usually requires some form of data literacy and some high cost for that. So we work by addressing these two aspects of precision agriculture, data and technology. For data, we use satellite data instead of like drones and sensors, which are more affordable as they can capture large amount of large fields of area at one time. And for the technology, we will employ the machine learning and AI, which in the recent years, their cost has been going down. However, we will utilize the data we get from providing the data solutions and the monitoring solution from our project. So how would our solution work? First, it will start with, we'll try to keep our solution as simple as possible. It will start with sign up, then monitoring services, and insights using AI. So when the user sign up, when a farmer sign up into our dashboard, he should be faced with an interface that allows him to upload his data and the coordinate of his fields and any relevant data like the season it's grown, which type of crops, irrigation frequency, all that stuff. Based on that, we will offer free monitoring services, which doesn't require a lot of data or compute, and it can give the farmers historical context about how their projects fields are developing and growing as time progresses. Finally, the service that will be hosted on the SingularityNET marketplace would be an AI-driven insights. So we will make use of the data collected in the onboarding area for the onboarding period for the farmers. And based on that, we will train machine learning models for yield prediction and crop classification. And finally, we can give you a little overview of the team. So you already know me, I'm Ammar. With me and the team are also Mukhtar, who will be our DevOps engineer, responsible for the integration of the dashboard with the SingularityNET API for monetization and all other DevOps operations. And Mohammed Yahya will be our machine learning engineer, responsible for the R&D on the models development, which will be kind of specific to each farmer's data. So we'll have like a base model and it will be tuned based on each farmer's data. I hope that wasn't too long. So thank you for giving me the chance to talk, and I'll be happy to have any questions.
Congratulations, Samar. Great presentation. I have a few questions signed up if anyone doesn't have another one, but please raise your hand if you have any question. But you mentioned that the farmers will submit to the platform some information. Which kind of information they will submit? But for example, maybe there will be some farmers that doesn't know some specifications that they will need, or which kind of, is this chemistry specifications, the meters of the farm? Which kind of information will be submitted?
Exactly. So yeah, the type of information and data provided by the farmers is crucial to our project, since one of our goals is to make it accessible to farmers, and to be accessible, it needs to be like simple enough so the onboarding can be like understandable for people with low data literacy. So our idea is that we keep this staging into progresses, into steps, sorry. So in the first part, the only required data are just the coordinates of the farm. So whenever we have just coordinates like this latitude and longitude for these rectangles here, we can, after that, immediately start providing some sort of monitoring. It would not be calibrated since these values here, the interpretation of it different based on the crop. Whenever we have extra data, we could use it to make the monitoring more personalized, and after that, it could be used into the AI model. Yeah, so that was actually mentioned here, but I left it as an appendix just to save time. Yeah. Go ahead.
Great. And I have another question, is that you mentioned that you can include someone else. Well, first of all, I want to know a little bit more about the budget, expectancy of the time frame of work. How many months do you expect that this project will take of time? And you also mentioned that maybe you could include someone else to the team regarding the needs of the product itself. There is a budget allocated for that specific thing in the proposal?
Not exactly. It's not explicitly outlined in the milestones. But we expect we would need some help maybe in the dashboard development, as we will want the dashboard to be as simple and usable and friendly as much as possible. And if you see the team, we are all kind of engineers. So developing a good a good interface would be a little bit tricky for us. So, and in Enigma AI, we do have we work on a project based, so maybe we could borrow some front-end developers from other projects, and we would source the fund internally. And for the expected timeline, we already have like the part of the data pipeline built. We need to work on the integration mostly and on the R&D in the machine learning section. So, and the interface part and the dashboard. So we expect for like the whole project would take 3 to 4 months maximum. And yeah, depends based on how we can go and each milestone progress, how it goes. But we would be ready to ship some MVP as soon as possible, like 3 months.
And could you repeat me each specialization of engineering that every one of the team has?
Yes. So would be responsible for the geospatial analysis of the data. So that would be in the monitoring information, as I worked in this field for about a year and a half. So that's how we use the information from satellite imagery to make it into like indexes that, for example, the NDVI, how green the area is, how does that reflect back on the crop, and this kind of information. Mukhtar would be the DevOps engineer. So he worked on previous defunding projects in onboarding and in deploying our services onto AWS and dashboards. So he would be also responsible for all the heavy lifting in the backend. And we expect Mohamed Yahya to be responsible for the machine learning part and the research and development regarding the specific algorithms, particularly for yield prediction models.
Perfect. Anyone has another question?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Raised his hand earlier, but
Oh, I had my hand up. I didn't know if we ran out of time though.
Please go ahead.
Amar. My name is
hi.
Megan. This sounds like an interesting project. For a bit of context, I am living in Cameroon and we have a farm here. I had a couple of questions. I wonder if you could go a little bit over more of the types of outputs you would be monitoring. That was what I was trying to understand.
Okay. So the design of the dashboard is not yet finalized, but the main factors that we'll be monitoring are indexes that reflect the growth of the field. So in this image here, it's shown what's known as the leaf area index. That's kind of metrics that measures the size of the leaves based to the area. Anyway, it's agricultural metrics that kind of give you an idea of how far into the growth a specific crop is. So would be monitoring information about the field. We could also monitor historical information about that. It doesn't call monitoring, but it gives you a good context when you know how in maybe in the past 5 years, how often the land was grown versus how often was it left empty. It affects the use of water and nitrogen that in the soil. And finally, we would have some alerts for the weather and a small widget for like wind and humidity and all that kind of stuff that's related to farm to be all in one place.
Okay, thank you. And then my other question, I think that you had mentioned you were only interested in farms less than 2 hectares. Did I hear that correct? So I was curious, why would that be?
So our target audience is smallholder farmers. So and the definition kind of vary, but it some people define it as farms that farm owners that have areas less than 2 hectares. These people are the most affected by the lack of access to technology, as to implement some kind of IoT solutions would be cost ineffective, as it would be high cost for a small area for that regarding the mission. And regarding our solution itself, if we want to provide some sort of free monitoring service, if we kind of limited the area at first, it would keep the cost for the storage at minimum until maybe we could have some revenue coming from the project. Then we could relax this requirement.
Okay,
Guillermo,
well, thank you.
Thanks for the question, Megan. Guillermo, one last question.
Hey, Amar, congratulations for the proposal. First, hi everyone. So I have a small question on regards of a comment that Jan put it on the platform on regards of onboarding existing services into your proposal. Have you addressed this issue already?
Yes, so that was part of like our early ideation phase. So we were wondering which part could be onboarded onto the Singularity marketplace, and we came up with a plan that we keep the monitoring dashboard free and kind of separate. And from the monitoring dashboard, whenever we have enough data and the user is familiar enough to access the AI insights, he could then from the dashboard could call the APIs that would be hosted on the.
Okay, and then later you should talk with Kenrick. I don't know if you guys have met, but he has some risk mitigation tools and some things that can be very useful. Just thinking out loud how you can interact with the community with the tools that are already on development. But again, congratulations for the proposal.
Okay, that sounds nice. I would definitely look into that. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Congratulations, Samar. Now, Guillermo, it's your turn. Could you stop sharing?
Let me stop sharing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so already say hi. Nice to see you guys here. See some new faces on the room. Walter, Juana, Kendrick, good to see you. Okay, so this is pretty straightforward. I'm gonna just try not to mess it up. I'm gonna share my screen. And share. And I'm gonna go presentation mode. I don't know if this is working. Mauro, if it is, I can use a thumb up.
It's
Sharing.
loading, and now we can see it.
Okay. So this is pretty straightforward. It is it's an ideation pool. So that means it's still an idea in breathing, okay? But still, we believe it can be very useful for the community. I didn't have too much time to put a presentation, but it's really simple. And as it's not a product, as Omar presented, it's really simple to share. The name can say, you can read the name and see the image, and you can get a pretty clear sense of what we're trying to do here. But still, I'm going to go and I'm going to read the slides. I'm going to follow the plan because I have too many things going on and I don't want to mess this one. So let's go for it. I'm going to jump. So in summary, we are trying to build a common space for collaboration where to unleash innovation, share knowledge, and build groundbreaking AI solutions collectively on a platform designed to foster synergy among the brightest minds in artificial intelligence, developers and entrepreneurs within the deep funding and SingularityNET's family and ecosystem. As you can see, I'm following the proposal format on the platform. That is very useful, and maybe this is a good case study to showcase the good idea of resuming big, bold ideas into small words. So one of the main objectives of our interaction is to collaborate. And this is how we understand our platform. The proposal will add value and contribute to the growth of the community. So the platform will be a use case for existing AI applications and services within the ecosystem. So we will target to build seamless AI integration into the platform, but leveraging easy-to-use APIs, allowing developers to integrate advanced AI capabilities into their application. This will empower projects with cutting-edge models, ensuring an unparalleled level of intelligence and innovation within the collaborative development of the ecosystem. A space for developers to join forces for the benefit of the whole. Small remark on this, it comes to the reading and understanding we have in the community, not because there's a lack of collaboration. I see there's a lot of collaboration, but to help this to be bolder and to be able to build together something that is bigger than us. And collaboration is a hard endeavor, but it's not impossible. So we understand that this platform can do this. And the proposal addressed the big challenge, as I was mentioning, that is to innovate and collaborate among developers. The centralized AI development landscape lacks of this tool, and we're looking to facilitate a transparent and inclusive governance that will encourage open source collaboration to happen. The specific solution we are bringing, it will be to embrace open source principles in a platform that enhance collaborations by providing a central hub for developers to contribute, share knowledge, and collectively drive innovation into the decentralized AI space. Establish a decentralized governance structure through a DAO, ensuring transparency, decision-making, and community involvement. The platform will integrate advanced AI tools, offering features like smart contract, code assistance, automated reviews, NLP-driven communications, and more. So this is a statement, and I think with these small words, I'm going to try to make it even bolder. So yeah, we're trying to look to transform competition into collaboration. That's a bold statement, but this solution will address these current challenges by fostering a dynamic and inclusive environment for efficient and impactful collaborative development in a rapidly evolving field of decentralized AGI. Our proposed platform aims to diverge from the standard online freelance business model, and it envisions a community-driven open source ecosystem where contributors collectively will shape the platform's future governance and direction. AI integration. Okay, so the platform, as I mentioned, will try to integrate advanced AI tools to offer features like smart recommendations, code assistance, automate reviews, NLP-driven communication, predictive project management, knowledge sharing, and bug prevention. So the two main spectrums we are seeing here is human interactions and project management, and use AI tooling to bring better results that will equal, say, better products developed by the community from SingularityNET. And the deep funding, of course, we see this platform can really impact on the results we are trying to put together. Amar needs a specific resource, Kenrick can bring it on. Juana needs a specific solution, Mauro can add to that. Just to go to a simple example of this, smart recommendation, as I was mentioning, human interaction, by implementing AI-driven recommendation system to intelligently suggest potential collaboration projects and learning resources based on individuals' developer skills, preference, and historical reputation and contribution systems. This feature will enhance collaboration by connecting developers with relevant opportunities, fostering a dynamic and synergistic environment. Another one could be automated reviews. Again, doing AI algorithm and tools to accelerate the code review process and chasing collaboration by maintaining consistency and quality. Big issue, we all know a lot, specific tasking. Project management is a big issue. A lot of us developers don't pay too much attention to that, and then we're struggling with schedule and timelines and deliverables. And that's a big issue. A lot of people don't believe in an operative budget, hey, Walter, because we are one army, armies of one. In a lot of homes, developers can do a lot, but to integrate different human resources and what I was telling before, human dynamics, will need project management tooling. And that's what we'll try to achieve through this implementation. DAO structure. Okay, so we see this platform. We see all of us spread it around. Mauro, we are missing up here, but we will get there. So how we can contribute in building together? Well, we see to implement a decentralized autonomous organization to ensure community-driven decision-making. So token holders representing contribution and stakeholders will actively participate in shaping the platform future, ensuring transparency, decision-making, and community involvement, and collectively drive innovation into the centralized AGI space. So Kenrick have a great tooling in regards of reputation. Just to name one of you, and to make this an example. So we can use all that experience and all that tooling that is already built to bring it on into our platform to build, for example, a rating and reputation system. To shape a platform's blueprint during the ideation field, it will be great for us because we believe that governance is something that, and it's our fourth milestone. We can have a great development, we can have a great strategy for AI integration, we can have a great blueprint, but we include this at the last moment. We want this to establish a governance structure for the DAO in this first of ideation. We believe that it will be a solid statement and a foundational step on this process. I'm going fast. Good thing. Blueprint, first milestone. Mock-up, simple, keep simple what is difficult and complex. But again, we will move into this two spectrum: project management, human interaction, AI tooling, and governance. We have a roadmap established for 4 months of development, and I think we will be okay because we have a great team and we will have the support of you, the community. The core team will be integrated by Rojo, that is another community member, core founder of the SingularityNET Ambassador, that is pitching his idea in the other room. Ines, that is part of the Latam community, who will help us to reach developers in our region. And then we will, as I mentioned before, we will fundamentally reach the community. Juana, Kenrick, Walter, Curtis, Daniel, all these developers and entrepreneurs that are already building on the platform, not only to use and integrate the tooling, but also to join forces into the next phase till we reach the door and become a new project into the next round. So the conclusion, okay, so sorry for going too long. I don't know how many minutes I've been talking, but I'd like to go at least on this one, finally. Maybe to close the idea. So Jan put a comment on the proposal on the platform that this is an extremely ambitious. He can imagine this can turn into an RFP and then into a collection of RFPs. So ideally, it will be a platform that will be a framework that different developers can continue to chase and express. And this was my answer. So it's kind of a Bradburyan, you can call that, even that word exists. But I love this guy's literature, as he could see the future long ago. Not only rockets landing on the flames on Mars, something that Elon have already proved is possible, but also on this utopia of a perpetual pursuit where RFPs are timeless quests. So a place where we can collectively build advanced tools upon each other's achievements. So transforming, again, competition into collaboration. We believe if we can achieve this, the impact could be sustainable, substantial, positive into our community, and the effort will pay off. This image, I think, as before I mentioned, I could have avoided all this talking, and I can open the discussion about what it is collaboration, what it is open source, what it is development. It's a picture of a cave in Patagonia, Argentina, the country where Mauro and I are from. You can see all these hands. So the oldest inscriptions are dated 7,350 years before Christ. This is still there. This is still amazing people. And it is a statement and a clear picture of perpetual RFPs. We can go there and print our hands. Not, today is a UNESCO protected state place, but still we could do that if it was a bigger cave. Just to close, again, thank you, gracias, merci, danke, grazie, and arigato to all of this are looking at this proposal video on YouTube or in different platforms. Looking forward to have your support, your vote, and to join forces with the community members on development of this platform. Thank you very much.
Wow. Well, to be honest, I really love the allegory there, but when people touch my country, also touch my heart. So I suppose I agree with Jan. In each milestone, I see a potential project. So regarding the making decision milestone and tool, it was something that we were discussing. As you may know, the new name of the Idea Fest, that it's now Spotlight Day, was made by polls in different social media. And we know that in the future, with too many people involved, it will gonna be a mess. And we start discussing what to do in the decision making of the circles, of the focal group, of a community decision. Nowadays, as you may know also, a lot of decisions in the deep funding ecosystem are made in the town halls, and we vote with people raising their hands. So in this super ecosystem of developed technology, these tools will be really useful. In each milestone, I see a potential new project and service. But Guillermo, let me ask you if you see this as a new platform or tools that are going to be integrated in the deep funding website.
Okay, so that's an extension of Jan's suggestion of a perpetual RFP, a place where we can. So still to develop the proper answer, I think that's why we didn't present the project in the new project pool. We understand that to cross that door, we still need some ideation process, and that's why we are looking to discuss this in open workshops with the community through the ideation process. Only here in this room, there are a lot of great knowledge in regards to governance, of development, of tooling. So we try to be responsible and gain trust in bringing results. So another question that Jan mentioned before whitelisted was this: are you looking to make a kind of a GitHub or kind of a wiki? And something that we builders try to avoid is to build something that it's already working or built. So we will integrate, we will use those platforms. That's why we should focus on human interaction, project management, AI tooling integration, and as I mentioned before, governance, how the community of developers will work open source to guide the direction with this platform will go. And then we will see something that probably I won't see, like a big tree growing in the future, like the cave and the allegory. So I think that's why it's a valid thing. Probably we build something that it will keep going and going. We don't know, but still we need to be responsible and put a small step in front of us, and that will be a good and strong ideation phase for this project.
No, I really like it. If I could make, and if anyone has any question, please raise your hand. Make a suggestion is that take this opportunity in the ideation pool to check every single milestone, that every single proposal, and set priorities. And I really like what you say to being responsible, to do this research previews, to send to the new services pool this ambitious proposal. So now maybe if you get funded, you will have the time to set priorities for the community and start development in different stages. So marvelous. Really happy for you. So anyone has another question? Let's move forward. Okay, let's go ahead. Congratulations, Guillermo, again. Now it's time of Mercy, AI Market Intelligence Platform Pilots. Are you there, Mercy?
Hey, I'm right here, just going on video to say hi, and then I'm going to go on video. I'm very happy to be here, and happy for all the other proposals. Right now in the room, I'm happy to say that I'm not alone here. My name is Mercy from WADA. Josh is here, Samuel is here, Megan, Ifia, Edufua. So there's quite a team from WADA, and we are very happy to present our our, 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 This presentation is going to start with a very quick recap of all the work that the Water Hubs have been doing. You know, without them, I wouldn't be here. So it will start with a short sort of introduction of the hubs. So that's a very short video of our hubs. The work that they do on the ground continues to energize us all. And as I said, without them, I really wouldn't be here. As I said, my name is Mercy, and the platform that we are seeking to build is called AI Market Intelligence Platform. What we want to use this platform to do is to use decentralized AI to collect, analyze, and provide market insights. Ultimately, this platform will deliver real-time and historical analysis. We'll also have some predictive analysis that are actually tailored to local contexts and challenges. I need to stress here, I mean, based on some of the prior questions that have been asked, this is 50, you know, we asked for the max because this is a comprehensive project. And actually what we're going to do with this is that we're going to it's going to be the beginning of a journey between Water Hubs and SingularityNET. It's going to be a pilot. It's a three pilot. So we'll collect 3 types of data in 3 of our hubs on the ground. So how are we going to do that? You know, when, you know, for those of us that know about water, what is dear to our heart is the 3rd point, which is training and onboarding. So there's going to be some training and onboarding into this program. We're going into this project. We're going to use it as a way to bring in more people into the SingularityNET ecosystem. But the training will actually be a bit more, for this start, is going to be a bit more targeted. We're going to equip local teams in 3 hubs that we're going to select, and they're going to be trained with the skills to set up and manage AI nodes, to collect data, and basically it is you know, sort of how to even collect these data effectively. It's going to cover decentralized AI applications, data analysis, and as I've said, predictive modeling techniques. Participants will also learn to implement AI tools for analyzing transactions, consumer behavior, and supply chains. Another aspect, which is the second one, is going to be data collection. I've mentioned 3 types, so supply chains, consumer behavior, and also transactions. The main AI service that is going to be developed in this pilot is going to be a test. is called the Demand Prediction AI Service. And basically, what this does is that it's going to use data from the informal sector. And I'll talk a bit more on that in our next slide. But it's going to collect data from the informal sector. This will be, sales data, consumer behavior, supply chain, as I've said. And basically what it's going to do is to forecast future trends. So the question that I'm going to answer with this slide is why? Why are we bothering? And I'm happy to tell everyone on this call and all, anyone that would, watch this at a later date is, this is not a pet project. This is like real life. This is where tech actually meets real life. And when we look at, especially sub-Saharan Africa, where water tends to be very strong, is that there are two types of market gaps. So about 70, sometimes 80% of local economies are informal. They are just informal, right, in the informal sector. And what that means is that a lot of data that is within this ecosystem, community, landscape is really not captured. Like people just go about doing their stuff, nobody bothers them, and they don't bother anybody. But there is there's a richness of data there. Another aspect is that when we look at sub-Saharan Africa, we look at this whole AI revolution that is taking place. There isn't a lot of, like data to actually train, do sort of machine training. So there is, initially when ChatGPT started, I remember trying to, figure out, ask some questions, and it was always, it gives a very politically correct answer, like, Africa, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so for me, it's been, or for us at WADA, it's been a key thing in terms of, how do we not only catch up in blockchain, but also the AI revolution that is taking place. So that is a core thing for this project. And also, as I said before, just the whole informal sector. About 2 years ago, what they did regarding the continent of Africa was to start the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. I don't know how many of you have heard of that, but historically Africa has been very sort of segregated. So what they said was that, hey, we need to figure out a way that countries and communities can trade more openly with each other. But without good information, this tends to be very, very difficult. A journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first step. And that is basically what we're going to do, start gathering the data, start developing models, start training and onboarding lots of young people that we are hoping that in the long term, they are going to develop new solutions. Obviously, when we look at water hubs from the initial video that we also we are in 8 countries. We are rapidly growing. And basically just the whole model that we have as hubs, sort of decentralized autonomous hubs all over. And, what SingularityNET does, decentralized AI. So basically, even with this project, what we are hoping is that we'll have those three hubs, and then we are going to set up nodes in those 3 hubs. They are going to collect data according to the local context, and then there will be a way that they will compare and contrast sort of how the analysis is done. And as I said, this is the beginning of a long journey. We are hoping with the SingularityNET ecosystem, and we're hoping that we'll continue to scale, bringing more hubs, collect more data, and enrich the platform that we are hoping to ultimately build. Obviously, WADA, we do a lot of work within emerging economies, in this case, sub-Saharan Africa, and we are hoping that this will be a way that we start growing AI expertise in sub-Saharan Africa, and in a way also give SingularityNET a way to branch into these emerging markets and economies. very quickly. So what should all of us here on this call do? As we know, this and as my previous proposers have said, we are testing the deep funding platform for round 4. So please engage with the platform, go put some questions, do whatever. Basically, if you can break the platform, I think that they will really appreciate it. You break it and tell them how you broke it. That would be amazing. And then, of course, obviously, our project, please read it, give us feedback. We would love that. And finally, we appreciate your vote. This is actually our first proposal, standalone proposal in deep funding. We did do one in deep funding 3, but was in collaboration with LATAM and Swarm. In terms of standalone, this is our first project is comprehensive, is built on our dreams in WADA to use emerging tech to lift up lives and create opportunities. So that is it. I appreciate your time and thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Marcy. I love the water branding and I love the colors. If anyone also has a question, please raise your hand. I have a questions with in the last years, WADA becomes an institution. There is a lot of people that works in WADA. And I would like to know more about the team that will be getting involved in this specific project and tasks. So which are the backgrounds? Can you share a little bit more about it?
Absolutely. So if you visit this project, we just listed 3, 2 including myself. So Josh is here. He is sort of the guy that gets stuff done. We have Samuel here. He is actually in charge of sort of our standards to make sure that like we're following the standards and so on. But in addition, people like Megan, who is here, and Ifia and the others, they are the ones that are leads on the ground that ensures that these proposals or these projects, once we are funded, takes off. In terms of the actual technical team, I'm not going to go into too much details with that. As you know, the reason that WADA has become a kind of institution, and thank you for that, is just how important we see collaboration, even within the ecosystem. So we will be reaching out to not only SNET, but to projects like Edify. They've already started building. There's a lot of local talent within in-country, sub-Saharan Africa, some of the countries there. And, this is going to be a collaborative project. And as I've said before, we are not just bringing our hubs. It's not just a project. Hopefully, we are bringing countries and we are bringing continents. Thanks.
Great, Marcy. I don't know if anyone has another question. If not, let's move forward because it's 1 hour and 10 minutes from the beginning of the town hall. Deep funding spotlight day. And Kenrick, the next one is you with a pretty interesting title in this proposal, Quality of the Community Decision. I would like to hear what is that about.
Yes, and actually, hopefully our scientist, Andre Villela, will join us in a moment. I know he was trying to join the room. I think we can go ahead and get started, and then if he joins, he can add a little later. But yes, and then Joanna is going to be on this team as part of our governance effort. Let me share my screen. All right, can you see that okay? So we are proposing to simulate the quality of community decisions. And this came about from some discussions with John that although SingularityNET has made a commitment to using the techniques of quadratic voting in order to make sure that we have a good distribution of inputs on our decisions. We actually haven't implemented it correctly. We currently weight the wallets, but the benefits from quadratic voting come from weighting people's preferences. So right now we use a scale of 1 to 10, but there's no cost on which value you use. So what John has asked us to do is to simulate this difference, because before he makes a change, he'd like to know more about the relative merits of different voting techniques. Now, there's a lot of different things that could be explored in a simulation. However, for this first effort, we're planning to focus on this issue of the contrast between plural or quadratic voting implemented with the strength of preferences versus the way SingularityNET is currently implementing that. And then we will also lay out a roadmap of other capabilities that these simulation tools could provide. We are partnered on this project with Andre Villela, who's an exceptional international scientist working in the field of statistical mechanics and Monte Carlo simulations. He's published a lot of terrific papers. I was privileged enough to be on a couple of them with him. And he is a professor in Brazil. However, he just recently accepted an appointment with the State University in New York. So he'll be moving to upstate New York later this year, and he'll be collaborating there very closely with our other colleague at Photrec, William Thistleton. So if he joins, he can dig into the simulations a little bit more. But the core idea is that he uses Monte Carlo simulations to model sentiments in a community and how communication between members of a community persuade people to vote one way or another. And then from that foundation, we'll apply that to at least 2 different voting methods in order to compare outcomes. And we'll be particularly looking at trying to get some assessments about the relative merits of these systems with regard to trying to make quality decisions. Quality will need to be a metric that we come up with, but it has something to do with the distribution of opinions and then the distribution of what actually wins and gets support. And so then Joanna is going to explain that we added funding to the project for a red team. So Joanna can explain what we mean by that.
Yeah, thank you, Kenrick. So as you guys know, with all of our Photrec projects, we always try to engage the community as much as possible because we obviously see a lot of value in that. So for this specific proposal, we set aside around $5,000 to engage with 2 or 3 experts from the community that would be selected by the SingularityNET community itself to support us on providing like a technical review and just an independent critique and recommendation for our simulations, the results, the analysis, and everything that we're going to be reporting on in our milestones. So from that, the first milestone will have some selected experts to review, and they'll be forming the red team. And then for every milestone, they would have a comprehensive evaluation done by the red team on our output. So for milestone 1, it'd be our milestone 2 outputs, it would be the plural voting prototype design that's going to be done, and then just the Monte Carlo modeling. But then after that, it'll be actually the quadratic voting implementation, as well as the complete plural voting design. And then we would also include their recommendations and their analysis in our final report. And they'd be able to present their independent evaluations and recommendations, and we'll integrate that into our final report and recommendation as well.
Thank you, Joanna. So as I said, the simulation work is challenging, and we're going to be starting somewhat from scratch so that this will be open source software that the community can use. So for that reason, we have not been over ambitious in terms of what we'll try to analyze in this first round, but we are hoping that this will be a platform for future development of questions like when you apply reputation scores, how does that affect the outcome? Or if we apply mitigations against collusion, how will that affect the outcomes? And so that's some of the future work that we hope this platform will enable the community to take on. And part of the way we're doing it is that the simulation work will inform what we decide as a community to develop for the voting platform. And since Votrek is part of the team developing that platform, we also wanted to include a red team to kind of have a very thorough, independent critique of the recommendations that we're making. Thank you. And we really look forward to supporting the community with this effort, and we'd be happy to take any questions.
Wow, really professional presentation, Kenrick. I see it here, Andre Vilela. I have a question. You're Brazilian, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh, great,
It's
Andre.
Vilela.
Glad you could join us.
Hey, Andre.
So
Yeah.
they give you a super great presentation. I want to hear your background from you. And also, I'm really like to know, how do you get involved with Votrek and the deep funding ecosystem itself, and Kenrick and Juana? It's really interesting background.
Oh, this is a question only for me, right? So yeah, my name is Andre Vilela. I'm a professor of physics in a university in Brazil. And I spent 2 years in Boston working on complex systems and doing research using physics to unveil the exuberant mechanics of such systems, interconnected systems. And we, Kenrick used it to go to Boston University to see some and collaborate with some of our presentations and with our research group. He was a professor there back then. And we came out like writing 2 or 3 research papers together already. And we are finishing another one. I'm gonna send to him tomorrow. And so we started researching complex systems using physics and his distributions that he is developing over the years to fit some statistical distribution in financial markets. And we also worked together in other cryptocurrency technologies, because my research has broad applications on such systems, you know. So he got involved with me investigating this, and I don't know, learning science and doing science. And my background is I have a PhD in physics, also a master in physics. And I spent 2 years at the Polymer Center in Boston University. And now I'm a professor in SUNY Poly Institute, which is a university in New York State. But right now I'm in Brazil. I was talking with Rafael Preza. I don't know if you know him, but we are good friends, and he is in the other room. Yeah.
Oh,
You
great.
are like the Brazilian Sheldon Cooper. Say hi to
Come on
a
now.
brother. Say hi to a brother from Argentina, our
Oh yeah.
neighbor country.
I used it to work with a brilliant Argentinian physicist, which was Lydia Brownstein. I don't know if you know her. She passed away very recently, you know. But yeah, she was brilliant. Yeah, we worked together a little. Yeah.
Wow. Well, nice to meet you.
Actually, just
Albrecht.
a little bit of background too. Our very first project together was the diversified voting influence that Andre and I proposed to Catalyst. And then through that effort, we met Megan Hess and the WADA team. And my own background screen here was designed by the WADA branding team. And I strongly recommend you hire them for any branding work you want to do.
Thanks, Kenrick. And also thanks, Andre. Obrigado, Andre.
Thank you.
What I want to know is that and correct me if I'm wrong. So you, Henry, will be like the project manager. Juana will be on charge of the red team to collect feedback for the tech team community members, and Andre will analyze the outcomes from the simulation. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Well,
like
Andre's
this.
actually going to build the simulation and do the analysis. So he actually has the skills to build the simulations, which is not easy to do.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone has another question?
Yes. Yeah. Hi. Yeah.
Hi.
Thank you for the great presentation and for the very interesting and very qualified team. So my question was about how would you define quality? As I understand you use it as a measure or a benchmark. So what would be your definition of quality, and how would you quantify such a thing?
The key thing is the following issue. When you make decisions as a private enterprise, you kind of trust that you're the one that's going to take the losses if you make bad decisions. And so in a competitive marketplace, we rely on that competition to weed out organizations that are making bad decisions. However, in a public policy, we always deal with the problem of corruption, where we're asking people to input their own private opinions, but we want those private opinions to be aggregated into a public policy that benefits the community. But the problem is any kind of public policy decision can be manipulated or corrupted to benefit an individual or a small part of the community at the expense of the rest of the community. So one measure of quality, for instance, would be how much does the decision benefit the whole community versus it benefits just a small portion of the community. Those are the kind of metrics we'll have to invent and develop for this effort.
Okay. Sounds reasonable. It is a pretty complex issue after all. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, Guillermo.
So a short one. So for those that don't know the story, we have a very heated discussion with Kenrick about voting, about the implementation of quadratic on a town hall not long ago. So I really appreciate this opportunity for building a tool to agree to disagree, that all of these great ideas and mathematical simulations or assumptions or hypotheses can have a laboratory, a place to practice different practical jokes with these great papers written long ago. The discussion we have was involved in how we were implementing the quadratic voting in the development of our ecosystem. And for those of us that are still learning from you, the guys with the knowledge, it was pretty clear that there was something missing. So this is a great opportunity to build, to have a great application of real quadratic voting, because what we were reading, we were not implementing because we were unable to, with the speed we are evolving with the deep funding, we weren't able to process the data in the right way. We weren't having this, help me, Kenrick, here, when you reinforce your voting or your decision with the weight of your budget. So you allocate part of your budget with a decision, and that's something we would like to see implemented. So this tooling will help us to have this, so take the down voting out of the table and still have the community being able to decide where is the risk, where are how to back up the good teams or the people behind the ideas. So it's great to have you, Andre, joining the forces of Fortrek, and looking forward to the development and to test it and challenge it for sure.
Thank you, Guillermo. That's a really great way to express it.
So guys, that were all the presentations for today. Thank you for being here. It was a great first edition for Deep Funding Spotlight Day. It's always great to catch up a little with all the projects that are going on. And always, for example, I do not open the website to make the comments and feedbacks. And now that I understand better some of the proposals, my comments could be a little bit more professional. So thank you so much for being here today. See you next time and have a marvelous week.
Thank you for hosting.
Bye-bye.
Mario.
Thank you, Mauro.
No.
Really helpful.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Take care, everyone. Good to see you all.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Hasta luego. Bye-bye. Bonjour.
Ciao.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye-bye.